afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Nord, and today I will be doing a how-to video on what to do when inspecting a boat before and after it comes out of the water. Now, I am going to be touching on some Minnesota aquatic hitchhiking laws, and I will also be going through steps and what to look for and some prevention when it comes to the new hot topic that everybody's talking about, invasive species, and specifically aquatic invasive species. The very first thing you're going to want to do when you're going over your boat is you're going to want to start in the front. And people always wonder, so why am I back here by the hitch, by the start of the trailer? Well, it's because when you're backing the boat into the water and as these chains lay on the shore, they might pick up some aquatic vegetation anywhere in these lights or on these chains or anywhere, maybe even around the car. It's going to be very critical to pick up any of that vegetation that might be sitting there. And a lot of people just don't think that there is going to be any vegetation on here because it doesn't even go in the water. But realistically, as the wind changes, the wind might blow some vegetation in onto those public water accesses, and so it's going to be very, very crucial to be checking this part of your boat along with the rest of it. As I move up the boat, I'm going to be wanting to look at any devices such as trolling motors and anchors. And so where am I going to want to be looking on the trolling motor? Well, I'm going to be wanting to look on the propeller, on the shaft, anywhere where there could be some vegetation, maybe some muscle buildup. And then a lot of people forget about the anchor. When they're done fishing, they wrap it up, they put it away, and it's really crucial to be checking these as long. And here we have a cinder block as an anchor, but typically you're going to have the fork anchors and you're going to know what you're looking for. On anchors, you're going to want to be looking at the line. You're going to be wanting to look on it, around it, because what do anchors do? They go into weeds, they grab mud. When people pull them up, it's just a big mess, and a lot of times people forget to pull every single weed off of them, and any weed is a no-good weed. And as I'm looking, actually right here, there is some aquatic vegetation, so that's an absolute no-no, violation. Aquatic hitchhiking is happening. This cannot be tolerated in the state of Minnesota. So now, as we work our way down the side of the boat, I'm going to be looking at the boat itself. I'm going to be looking at the trailer, I'm going to be looking at the wheel wells, and I'm going to be looking at the wheels. Now, vegetation and mussels and spiny water fleas, they could be anywhere. So I'm going to be getting down low, I'm going to be getting real close with the boat. I'm going to be checking the bed carpets, making sure I don't see anything caught up. For the most part, everything looks clean. One thing you also should try to do is feel along these rivets. And I'm feeling, oh. Now I felt something a little bit bumpy there. And I looked down, oh, and would you look at that? That looks like zebra mussels to me. Now if I weren't to get my fingers underneath there and feel the roughness, I would have never seen these zebra mussels, and these zebra mussels might have gone to infect another body of water. So it's really crucial to be very particular and be very, very thorough while you're looking down the sides, because there's a lot of room where there could be aquatic hitchhikers along with mussels or any other invasive species in that matter. So now that we have found these zebra mussels, what do we need to do? Well, first, There's a 3-step process called clean, drain, dry. Now the DNR just came up with that saying, oh, I'd say a year or two ago, and you're gonna see the clean and the dry part now, and later on in the video, you'll see the draining part. And so now that we have zebra mussels on the boat, I'm gonna show you what you should do to get rid of them. Now hot water is preferred for this process, but I don't have hot water. So what you're gonna wanna do is rinse the hull of your boat down, just like this, with hot water. Within 10 seconds of contact with hot water with zebra mussels, it does kill them. And you're gonna just wanna clean the bottom of your boat. Look for any more zebra mussels that might be attached. Now zebra mussels can only live out of the water for 2 to 7 days, but it is against the law to be transporting them on your boat at any time, whether they're alive or not. So now that we have it all cleaned off, we're just going to want to simply rinse it down, wipe it off, dry it off. All said and done, I hope your boat is ready to go and zebra mussel free. Now we've made it to the back of the boat, and at this point I'm going to be looking for 2 things, and that is 1, if a person's drain plug is out, and 2, any vegetation around the prop of the motor, and even on these electronics. These electronic transducers do tend to hold quite a bit of vegetation as boats are coming in and out of the water. We also might get a better look at what's going on in the back of the trailer. But the #1 violation in Minnesota last year when it came to boating was the drain plug law. And now the law states that anytime you are transporting your boat or watercraft, you need to have the drain plugs out. Now that's whether you're going a couple houses down from the access to your cabin, or if you're going from, let's say, Minneapolis up to Baudette, Minnesota. That drain plug needs to be out at all times, or else you are in violation of the drain plug law in Minnesota. Not only do we need to consider aquatic hitchhikers outside of the boat, but inside the boat as well. So we need to be looking, as we're going through our boat invasive species check, we need to be looking on the floor, and we need to be looking, just scanning, just looking for any pieces of vegetation or mussels, and also accessories on a boat, like this fishing net. It's fairly common for a fisherman to be scooping up a fish. The fish might have gotten into the weeds a little bit, and along with the fish comes some weeds. So checking nets is very crucial when we're doing these checks. Also, fishing rods. Hooks get caught in weeds, and some people are lazy and don't pick the weeds off of the hooks after they're done. They just simply put it on. So checking the rods for vegetation on the hooks. Also, probably the most common place you'll ever find a spiny water flea is on the fishing line. And they like to attach the fishing line as it's being cast out. And sometimes you might even see them start to form on these eyelets. It's because they'll start to build up. These spiny water fleas are very small. They're going to be very hard to see. But the most common place you're going to find them is on fishing line. So just remember, when you're doing these checks, the outside of the boat is crucial because it's touching the water, but also think of items that might have been in contact with the water on the inside of the boat as well. Earlier I touched on the invasive species prevention plan, the clean, drain, dry. motto that the Minnesota DNR has. And I talked about the clean aspect, I talked about the drying aspect, but I didn't talk about the drain aspect. Now the drain aspect comes into play with two things. You're going to want to make sure that the bottom of your boat, every time you leave an access, all the water's gone, and you're also going to want to drain your live wells. Now when you ask people, hey, can I see your live well just to make sure you don't have any water in it, a lot of times they start to get nosy and kind of think like, oh, are you wanting to look at my fish? Do you want to see how many fish I have? Honestly, that's not part of what I'm doing. I'm not here to look at your fish. I mean, cool that you caught some, but I'm not here to count how many fish you have, make sure you are within regulation, within limits when it comes to fishing. I'm purely here for invasive species. I'm here to check to make sure you don't have any water in the bottom of your live well. So you're just going to want to open up, look to make sure all the water's out. If the water isn't out, just simply ask them, hey, can you drain your live well before you leave the access? It'd be much appreciated. Now we want to make sure all the water that we have at the access stays at the access, because microinvertebrates can be in this water, and if you were to bring the water from one lake that is infested and drop in and put the bilge pump on and water comes pouring out of the side of the boat with that microinvertebrate in there, now that lake could be infected. So that's why we really want to make sure we drain our live wells, drain our boats before leaving the access. A fairly common question comes up with fishermen when it comes to live bait and whether they can bring it home with them after a day in the water. Now, can you bring your live bait home after you're done fishing? Yes. But there are some special regulations / requirements that you need to do in order to bring your live bait home with you at the end of the day. Now, as you can see, I've got my bucket full of minnows. After a day on the water, I still have some left over, and I'm going to be using these minnows tomorrow, and I don't want to throw them all away. So what can I do to be legal and still possess these minnows after I leave the access? Well, what you can do is simply drain out all the water that is in this bucket, because once the water in your minnow bucket touches the water, touches the shore, it's part of that body of water. You can't take it off the lake, off the water. So what I'm going to do is simply drain out the water. Now that all the excess water is drained out, I simply bring new water with me to the access before getting there. And this is fresh water. This is fresh from my house. I'm going to fill up my minnow bucket. And now we're good to go. I'll be able to take this away from the access, bring it home, and even be able to go to a different lake with the same minnows, with the same leeches I used the day before. So those are the laws and regulations on live bait in Minnesota. And that's it for this how-to video. I hope you learned a thing or two on invasive species and on the whole boat inspection part. Not only is this beneficial for people going into the invasive species field, but also for your everyday recreational user out on the water. This is going to give them a better understanding on what to look for and what to do at the boat accesses. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and be safe and have fun out on the waters. Thanks, guys.